Me too.
Last time, he was kind of giving me the background of you all, your all's trajectory and your story of how you all started Knob and Key and where you came from and all that. Um, for those of you who don't know, Nick is the dad, husband, real estate agent in Kentucky, broker in Indiana, and co-founder of Knob and Key Realty.
Yeah,
which is awesome.
well, yeah. Definitely the J-Town office for sure. But Nick and Bobby kind of brought me in, and I was just thinking about just before we started thinking about the history and how long it's been. So it's been a fun ride so far. So
Your route was a little different than Nick's. Nick went into real estate before you did, but you got a job after college.
Yeah, so I was graduated at U of L and came out with a finance degree, and then went on to get my master's. But was actually I worked at a couple different places, mainly Humana in the finance department, pharmacy rebates, and then switched over to on the consulting side for IT for a little bit. But ironically enough, I think it was around the time that Nick and Hannah had gotten married. Bobby was there. I know about Bobby because they worked together. But that's really the first time. I was always intrigued in real estate. Don't know if I would have made that jump, but Bobby and Nick both right around there, kind of like, hey, if you're consider real estate, think you guys would work well together. Nick and I, the property brothers or twin side of it. But
I never even thought about that.
In about 5 or 6 months later is when real estate school started, and kind of that whole process really got going. But initially started Humana, I'd worked there for off and on for about 5 years. Kelsey and I moved to Indianapolis for about a year.
Okay.
Came back to Humana, and then shortly thereafter kind of started going down the real estate world.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you had pretty much a full-time job and you were doing on the side.
Yes.
It wasn't part-time. It was
full-time. Yeah. And actually even, so when I first got started, I was at Humana, and I laughed because even on lunch or after I would leave Humana, obviously weekends too, is when I would have an opportunity to show houses. So it's kind of doing that, but also, we worked at a family restaurant and bar over here in J-Town, Pastime Fish House.
Okay.
And so I was doing Humana during the day and real estate when I had time, nights and weekends, and then actually working at Pastime one night a week just for some fun and supplemental income too. But it was about an 18-month period, kind of setting up a transition or a plan to get out of Humana at that point. But it was really kind of doing all three, and starting a family and had just gotten married. So it was
wow. Okay, I was about to ask that. If you were married at the time and had kids yet?
let me really think back here. So we got married in October of 2015.
Okay.
And then had our first son in November of 16. So I was kind of in school while she was pregnant and starting that transition. And then I want to say, I should know off the top, but probably early 18 when I finally left Humana officially to go full time into real estate. But that 18 month to 24-month period was really kind of working full time at Humana, and then really fitting real estate in when I could. Open houses, showings, and a lot of time really just spent sitting in the office listening to Nick and Bobby and Becky just talk about, we had real small office at that point. This is back in the Remax days. I kind of caught the tail end of that, but just kind of show up. Even just by being there and hearing what was going on that day was extremely beneficial. And then, you get some opportunities here and there and really get rolling. And then about a year and a half later is when I got out of Humana officially. So it was wild times for sure, looking back now, especially. I mean, it's chaotic now too, right? But that was when it really started getting going.
The grind. That's wild, man. Yeah, I know too, just from doing a full-time job, the times that I can come in the office and just be around everybody, it really gives me the confidence to.
Yeah, and it's one of those businesses, especially in school, you can learn a lot there for sure, but experience is 100% the greatest teacher. Even if you hear the stories and deals and conversations that happen with other agents on the phone just by sitting there, it's invaluable. And that was a great crash course for me, just being around seasoned agents and an assistant with Becky to hear how they interacted on a daily basis. For sure.
Yeah. Were you relying on Nick pretty heavily when you got into it?
Yeah, for sure. Nick and Bobby both. When we first got started, it was really just us and then Nikki, of course, too, and Becky. I was always bad about. I tried to, of course, ask questions when I knew the wheels were spinning or knew I needed help, but also didn't want to be a burden because they were extremely busy. So trying to work through things, and if you get to a point, obviously you have to have mentors and people you can lean on. But they were great. I tell people all the time it's hard to find people in the business that truly have your best interest. But from day one, I mean, great mentors, but also just students themselves of real estate and trying to do things the right way and just really laid the foundation that way, So it can't, said it a million times over how helpful it's been in the development of my career and obviously try and help with younger agents as well now the same way. So uh, that's really when it got started, like I said, back in 2016, 2017, back in the Remax days, and of course even the Red Edge days before the team really and office really started to expand. That was kind of the core group.
It
So
sounds like y'all took the culture from there and kind of brought it here.
yeah, especially for Red Edge, and Bobby and Nick will say this too. You kind of carbon copy a lot of things from his office. Mike is, I would still consider a friend. I mean, he's awesome. The only reason we weren't even with Red Edge anymore is because of the aspirations of starting, our own office. But that really set the tone, and it's just more of a family environment than anything. Help people out, do things the right way, and it just kind of build it and they will come kind of attitude, family, no drama, but just that family feel. Everybody helps everybody. Everybody wants to see everybody win, and it nurtures itself really. So
So did you all were doing your thing at Red Edge, and it was you were teamed up, you, Nick, and Bobby.
mhm.
Was Hannah and Kelsey doing real estate at times as well, or no?
Not from the get go. I forget what Hannah was doing. She had worked at an office here and there, doing some various things. Kels, my wife, she was in U of L's dental hygiene program.
Okay.
So she came out of school and she was a hygienist for a few years. It finally gotten to the point, I want to say 2020, give or take, 2019. Like I said, I should know, but it got to a point where between the boys, with their schedules, school, sports, all that, and then also just needing some help. She was getting off work late, and I really needed some help with the admin stuff. So that's really when she started getting her license, and it got to a point where we were like, "What are we doing?"
Yeah.
So she put in her 2 weeks notice, and really from there taking on more and more in the real estate world. Of course, be able to help out the boys and around the house and all that. But it's been a huge blessing for our family to have the girls. Not only from, like I said, the kids and everything, but business too. I mean, now we all communicate. As you can imagine, when you work with family, you have a lot of mutual friends and clients, so we can all pick up or help out in different situations. It just makes life easier on everyone because we may have prior commitments one day, and they need our help or vice versa. And I honestly can't imagine it being any other way.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people have their teams and work together as well, but just to be able to plug and play when you need to, when every day is crazy, it's a huge asset for us for sure. So
I think that's genius whenever couples
yeah,
get together. Now that I kind of understand real estate,
yeah.
because you're on the same page. You know what I mean?
Yeah, oh yeah. I laugh because it's not every day. Not every day is easy, and you spend a lot of time together, right? Parenting, married, and all that stuff. I like to say we have a really good working relationship, and we fill in gaps for each other. But
Yeah,
yeah,
think about
it's
you know,
unique
I didn't think about
dynamic.
that. I didn't think about that side.
Yeah, but it's great.
I would
She's
grab my.
upstairs right now, so it's
Oh, is she?
she is. Yeah.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
So, but it's been great.
That's cool, man. So you three were there, and the girls hadn't started doing it yet. Who was kind of the leader? Was Bobby the one kind of like, "Hey, we should start doing our own thing"? That part of it really interests me. I love that.
Yeah, that's a great question. Bobby, of course, was always the head honcho with our, as far as launch and everything. One with experience and his time in the business, but he was. he obviously turned business partner now, but he was a mentor for day one. It really still is, even we had our office meeting today, our monthly office meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as I've learned as many deals and transactions, and you kind of learn in your own way, but he's an extreme wealth of knowledge, but keeps it relatable, keeps it fun. And I know, like I said, he's busy and trying not to bother him, but I know without a shadow of a doubt, pick up the phone right now and he'll give me not only the best honest, but what I need to hear and the best, the right way of doing things, but also, from an integrity standpoint as well. So can't say enough good things about it. I know I mentioned earlier briefly, but truly from day one has had not only myself, but everybody that walks through Don Key's door, Nick included, our best interest at heart. So to be able to have someone like that, I tell people all the time, it's not a hard business to learn, but it's when you need that assistance to have somebody in your corner like that, it's irreplaceable. You can't replace it.
Yeah.
So, and it's been like that from day one. I'm close to starting year 11, and it hasn't changed in that regard.
I
So,
love that.
yeah, huge blessing, huge blessing. So,
I think it's cool. So for those of you who don't know, whenever you go to real estate school, you pass your test, you're now a real estate agent. Well, then it's kind of reverse. You go and look for places to work for because mostly everybody will take you, essentially. So I met with a couple brokerages and like interviewed, I guess. And I sat down with you guys. And I remember being there for like 5 minutes and I was like, whatever y'all got going on, I'm in. Just because you all were genuine. You all were just like, here it is.
Yeah.
If you want to do it, cool.
Yeah, and kind of the golden rule. It doesn't need to be complicated. Obviously, you have to do things the right way, but at the end of the day, treat people right, and it'll come back to you 10 times over. And that's the way we try to treat every situation. Like how would we, every deal and every transaction decision, how if it were us and if we were buying this house, if we were selling this house, how would we handle it?
Yeah.
If you treat people the right way. At some point you'll prevail and come out on top and obviously be able to sleep at night and just doing things the right way. So
yeah. So I feel like once the transaction, you go to the closing table and it's done, whoever your client was, they're going to be able to see the numbers, they're going to see all that stuff, and the truth will come out if you're giving them good or bad advice.
Sure.
So like your all's advice and being a mentor to me, especially, I notice that now, whenever you put your heart to it and you tell them the truth on stuff, at the end of the day, they're more likely going to refer you because of
yeah, well, that's it. That's just it. You just took the words out of my mouth. It's obviously you want to do things the right way and lead with integrity, but also we're in a business where I was just telling somebody to say that, we want to earn your business and want this to be a seamless and easy transaction now, but we want to earn your trust in business for as many times as you buy and sell a house, whether it's your personal homes or investments. But like you said, we're in a position now where I want to say 95, 98% of our business is word of mouth, friends and family, repeat business. And that it starts from day one, and treating every transaction like it's your own and just that. So like I said, you took the words out of your mouth, but that's how we try to approach it.
I think there's something to be said about that though, really, because you all grow it organically. I remember you all telling me like, most of our business is referral based.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember like overthinking it at first. Like I had to go out and I still do this day. Like I need to go market, go talk to people. But you all were like, you do a good job with this one client.
Yeah.
They're going to refer you to other people.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong. There's a lot of brokerages that will even offer leads or feel like you need to get set up with a referral source to at the beginning of business just to get things going. Nothing wrong with that. There's sometimes we wonder if we're not leaving somebody on the table by not doing that, but just long term, especially from a loyalty standpoint of those customers, we feel it's best to develop those types of relationships, and it takes time. Everybody's running their own race, but plant those seeds and just tackle it one day at a time, and eventually you'll have that foundation.
So that's awesome.
So
was it scary jumping in, like starting out in key? And
it was.
I'm sure it's a whole process.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm more conservative when it comes to the money side, and we like I said, we're starting family.
Yeah, I was saying you all had young kids at the time too, right?
I want to say Lakin was probably. He was definitely under a year when I was really trying to get going in real estate. So, yes, it was, but I also knew, okay, we were able to save enough money and all that. We should have, be covered for a little bit. But also, I kind of felt like I, working with Nick and Nick having such a close relationship with Bobby, kind of felt like I had the playbook. I was never afraid to work, and I could kind of see, okay, here's the progression Nick is on. Here's what Bobby's been doing for probably at that time, decade and a half. I'm like, okay, put my head down, ask the right questions, be present, work hard. Here's what it could be. So on one hand, I was terrified, starting a family, trying to make sure the bills are paid. On the other hand, I'm like, I know I'm willing to put in the work and make sacrifices. So, and I see what these guys do, and I'm going to learn firsthand from them. Like, I know what it can and really should turn out into. So, in a weird way, I didn't feel like, I guess cliche, but I never felt like failure was an option just because of who I was working with and learning from. But it is dumb. I mean, you talk about starting a family and wanting to have certain goals and all that stuff. And the thought of not being able to pay bills at the beginning, of course, can be a little overwhelming, but it's a business that if you dive in and you're willing to put in the work and make sacrifices, there's plenty of money to make. And so in that way, it was reassuring. So
I love that. It reminds me of the quote, one of my favorite ones. It's the most expensive piece of real estate is a graveyard. It's filled with billion-dollar ideas that nobody acted on.
exactly.
Some of y'all can stay comfortable, act your own, their old brokerage, and never even made the move.
Sure.
But never would have scaled like you have now.
Yeah, it's sitting right here. Honestly, I mean, sometimes I don't reflect on it enough, but just the idea or thought of owning our own business, and we're born and raised here, and something we dreamed of in the past or growing up, and to see it come to fruition in real time is, just another reminder of what real estate and just business in general can be if you want it bad enough. So.
I love that. Yeah, you bought me a podcast studio, dude.
Yeah, there you go.
That's awesome. So you all get started in Key, and then now you transition to the broker side.
Yeah,
So Kentucky.
Nick's Kentucky. So my wife and I, when we first got married, she danced at UL. Had a lot of those girls come from Florida Central, and a lot of friends over there. So she's from Indianapolis, and when we got married, and we lived up there for a year, kind of came back down. So the agreement or understanding was like, well, compromise, I guess you will. So our first time was in Southern Indiana. I was working at Humana at that time, but she was around a lot of her teammates and friends, which was great. And we love Southern Indiana. But when I got into real estate, just by fear of, wanting to be as close to our network as possible, we decided to move back on the Louisville side. Of course, not far, but it was a time where a lot of our clients, or just from our network in Southern Indiana, we were kind of missing out on a lot of deals. So I'm like, okay, quickly realized I need to get my Indiana license. And then over the years, met and developed relationships with a lot of great Kentucky agents who have no interest in getting their Indiana license for 1 or 2 deals a year. So it built up pretty good referral partners with lots of Kentucky agents. And then, again, I was working with Red Edge and then Knob and Key on the Kentucky side, and a different brokerage on the Indiana side, which, from a marketing standpoint, I'm like, would love to get to a point where strictly Knob and Key, of course.
Yeah.
At which point, it just decided to rip the Band-Aid off and become the principal broker for Indiana. So now, of course, there's just a couple of us in the Knob and Key office that operate in Indiana, but hopefully organically we'll see those numbers grow as well.
Yeah.
But love Indiana. Like I said, I have a big network of friends over there. Probably about 40% of my business, 40, depending on the year.
Really?
Yeah. The close over there is in Indiana. So
I do see y'all post on Indiana. I didn't think it was that much.
Ebbs and flows, like everything, but it's honestly crazy to see the change in volume over there. So, but super grateful, love Southern Indiana market, and like I said, we have tons of friends. I'll be heading there right after this. Actually.
Okay,
so,
I love Indiana houses.
Yeah,
Floyd Knobs and
it's like I said, it's still close. Great school districts, all that. But
I love that. So you have some short-term rentals.
Yeah,
you're the reason why my wife was like, "Hold on, what are you doing? You're buying what?"
Yeah.
So me and Mike bought ours because we talked to you, Nick, and Ben, and we're figuring out that game, how to play it.
Sure.
And we basically people thought we were nuts when we first bought ours. They're like, "What are you talking about?" And we had done our homework. We talked to you guys and seen what you all did and figured out how to do it. But like me and Mike working a regular 9 to 5 job, and everybody around us is foreign to them. So they're like, "That's dumb, whatever. Just put money in your 401k and you'll be fine." So, how did your investing journey start?
We actually first started in long term, and we still do. We still have a few long term, and we love those as well. But then quickly, it's probably been a handful of years now, 5 or 6 years. Started seeing, when we would travel, it's the first place we checked Airbnb, VRBO. Prefer doing that, especially if you're traveling in groups. So I'm thinking, wait a minute, we're in real estate, we have long term to enjoy the investing side. How cool would it be? Just as simple as an idea is like, how cool would it be if we travel to different parts of the country and we just stay in our house? Obviously, more of a pipe dream at that point. But my point is it kind of gets the wheels turning a little bit, and fortunately, we're close to a cool little area in Barstown with the huge, bourbon attraction, number one bourbon capital of America. So, again, like many things in real estate, Bobby had purchased one not too far in Cox's Creek, and it was
the A-frame.
The A-frame.
Okay.
It was doing well. So I saw this house pop up that was totally renovated, half off Marshtown. I'm like, hey, maybe we should go check this out. And then, it's kind of all she wrote, but we love it. It is obviously a little bit more upfront and all that, but just from hands off side of the operation and different type of investment, right? A little bit more saturated, and then you have some hurdles to get over with counties and all that stuff. But just kind of, I don't know, piqued our interest a little bit more in the long term stuff, a little bit more exciting. And like I said, you can go anywhere.
Yeah,
I know yours is in Alabama. Is that right?
Yeah, Tuscaloosa.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we as much as we want to continue to add long term, just from a portfolio standpoint, I tell everybody all the time, if we could own, exclusively Airbnb type properties, we will continue to buy those as well.
Yeah.
So we love it. Absolutely love
The
it.
beautiful thing too is you can play with it for a few years and figure out how to run it, and then 1031 exchange in a different state.
Yep.
To where you're going to actually vacation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is nice.
That's
that your all's goal?
That's the plan. We're in the Florida market now. There's some challenges there with insurance and all that stuff, but
yeah.
North Carolina's popped up, Arizona's popped up. Anywhere. Honestly, we're not anywhere the numbers seem to make sense. We're happy to consider. But I just think over the years as we expand and try and do different things, it's fun too, right? We have to make sure the numbers work, but it's fun to operate those. So,
do you remember how much your first property was, the sales price of it?
It was $340.
$340. Okay. And then you all split it 3 ways, right?
Split it 3 ways. Obviously from an entry standpoint, it's much easier that way and more hands on deck. But we actually we managed that one ourselves for a while. Recently transitioned out of that just from a time standpoint, but did everything ourselves. It was local enough to where it was easy enough to do that. Now at the Florida property, we've of course completely outsourced all of that. But 340, and then we actually have a second property in Bardstown. Coincidentally, also another about half mile from downtown.
Okay.
So just makes it easy. And then the other is just west of Tampa in Seminole, Florida.
I love that one.
Yeah.
That was sweet. Yeah. House of Palm.
Yeah.
I showed everybody like mom.
I've actually not stayed in it yet. So that's on.
That's so funny.
To take a little golf trip down there. But trying to still get that one up and running, but it's doing well now. So
that's the funny thing about the Airbnb too. You can buy a house across country. You own it, run it. Never been to
that's the thing. That was the grand plan. We could go stay there for free, but we haven't even stayed in it yet. So one day, hopefully.
That's awesome. Do y'all have your eye on another one? You just got another long term recently, right?
Recently we have 3 down by campus. Those do pretty well. Turnover's a little high.
And that's a long term.
Those are long term.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we like those with students. Rent's at a premium down there. It comes with its own challenges. But no, we like both for sure. And then see maybe commercial or do some development down the road, hopefully. maybe that's next. But for now, um, six between long term and short term. So
That's
one
awesome.
at a time.
Well, that's right. I like that.
One at a
man.
time.
Yeah.
So
You can still win ball games by hitting singles, right?
that's right. That's right.
That's awesome. Yeah. So I talked to Bobby, and of course, you all, whenever we were first starting to start out and figure out what to do. And Bobby kept it real thing up front. He was like, "Don't do Airbnb." He was like, "Find a commercial spot."
Yeah.
And we didn't know anything about anything, but
Yeah. I think he'll always say you just got to buy them right, and that's more. I would say that's more true in long term, or excuse me, short Airbnb short term than long term. Not that you can buy them wrong in long term, but with the upfront costs and the competition, you have to make sure the margin is there. You have to, that's an ever changing market too. Like I said, you have to be cognizant of like local restrictions and, like I said, competition. You really want to stand out, but if you can get past those hurdles, the sky's the limit.
yeah,
There's so much potential.
I think that's smart. Using that advice, Bob. If it makes sense financially,
For sure.
as far as the numbers game,
Sure.
you're gonna make your money off the buy, not the sell kind of thing.
100%. And that's like I said, that's probably the biggest challenge, not being in the market that you're in. Like Bardstown's easy for us. We're familiar enough with it just from proximity where we knew. Florida, that's even though you see the traveling numbers, that's all good and dandy, but it's totally different market. I mean, we don't have feet on the ground down there. We're not familiar with types of neighborhoods and that kind of stuff. So you really have to have good partners or agents you rely on. It sounds like you guys have a good relationship with your Alabama agent.
Mm-hmm.
But that is extremely, if you're going to consider looking outside of your general area, I would consider, interviewing a few agents just to make sure you have good resources. That's where it really starts.
Yeah,
So
I think that's huge.
local contacts.
Because we found ours on a Facebook group that has Airbnb
Okay.
hosts, and I searched Tuscaloosa because Mike was like, "I think Tuscaloosa would be good."
Sure.
Because it's a college town up and coming, and talked to a guy on there who referred me to his agent, and that was the first question I asked was, "Do you have short-term rental yourself?"
Yeah.
And she's like, "Yeah."
Okay.
And so then I knew that she, understood what.
Yeah, that's a great point. Find an agent that's dipped their toes in their market and done a little bit of it too.
Yeah.
I think we have people approach us because they know we own Airbnbs. We actually just helped a really close friend buy one in Louisville, and that's probably the most excited I've been about one in the city in a long time. One, they're fortunate that it's already zoned commercially, so they get to bypass a lot of the city restrictions and that stuff. But in a market like ours, it's extremely hard to get into. So, and it's at an affordable price point, 4 beds, very conveniently located, and excited to see what they do with it. I think it's going to do extremely well. Kind of bad timing. I'm a little jealous that we didn't get to pursue it, but I'm excited for them as well.
Yeah,
So,
it's interesting. I feel like you set those things up correctly.
oh yeah,
It's. I think about a buddy at work, and he has one in Fern Creek, and I never would have thought it would have done well.
yeah. I heard a story not too long ago, similar around the corner. I don't know if it was a client or a friend or who was telling me, but have a little property over in Fairdown. They said they book it 40 nights a month if there was 40, it's constantly booked.
Wouldn't have bet that.
Yeah, never.
Unreal.
Yeah. So
crazy. Yeah, sometimes it's better off just to find one that you can afford.
Oh yeah,
Do a quality job versus trying to pick a market like Florida or wherever.
that has value too, especially if competition's low.
Yeah.
So
that's where we've been looking out in Florida, Gulf Shores. My youngest brother's moving to Tampa.
Okay.
So we've been trying to look down there too a little bit. But Mike goes down there.
That's right.
So you'll have all kinds of resources down there.
I know. More than I thought, actually.
Yeah. So you and your brother and Bobby and your wives have all built the culture of Knob and Key, which attracts many. We love it here. It's everybody helps each other and all that. I'm going to ask you a question.
Sure.
If you were to be stripped now that you've been successful for 10 plus years now,
okay,
and kind of understand the real estate game, if they were to take your money, your cars, your assets, everything away from you, could you build it all back?
In real estate?
In anything, could you build it back?
Definitely real estate. I mean, if you take away all the resources but yes, what I'll say about real estate is if you're just getting into it, you don't have anything, no assets, resources, like I said, get in a good home office where people have your back and there's opportunities to do open houses or just learn every single day. without question. Would it take time? Yes, but you see it all, and you see it all the time in our office, in the industry alone, people that get into the business 6, 12 months. I mean, you're a good testament to that. Obviously, I'm sure you feel the undulations. You feel like you're busier sometimes than other, but to do what you've been able to do in that short amount of period, it absolutely is. If you don't take the knowledge, you take the assets or tools, that's one thing. But and then in other industries, you obviously we try to do as much real estate as possible because there's a million different ways to go about that in our industry. But what I've learned just being around other friends and mentors and there's so many things that translate to other areas of business.
Yeah.
Like if you're willing to work and be a student in whatever it is you're doing and make mistakes, and be okay with it and learn from it, that translates to any area of business. I'm not going to say I could do anything, but I like to think in most areas of business, you have that foundation of those principles and values and morals. Um, it could work.
There's something to be said about that. I mean, I don't know if you know, but the Predators hockey team just hired or Nick Saban's like part owner now.
Huh.
And so they kind of brought
Actually, I did think I heard that, yeah.
They were talking to him on an interview, and they were like, "What do you know about hockey?" And he was like, "I know there's a goal and whatever, but that's it."
Sure.
But their idea is, and Saban said it too, that he knows he can come in there and structure it, get the right people in place, the processes, and having the right people will take your business wherever.
Yeah, I think you see it in sports too all the time. Coaches, obviously, coaching carousel, like changing, and teams have instant success, and then other teams 3 or 4 years they're looking for a new coach again. So
Yeah,
get the right people in place and have a system. It can work and work quickly.
yeah, with the same level of talent as well. It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's crazy. You're right though, man. It does translate to anything. And real estate opened my eyes for sure. Like being in a 9 to 5 job, I know I keep saying that, but
Yeah.
you're just stuck.
Yeah.
And once I got out and started doing the sales job, it just opened your mind up.
I didn't expand on that earlier, but I was talking to another friend who played in a basketball league on Sunday night. And he's been at Humana for I think he said 9 years. And I was like, I was at Humana. It's by all accounts a great job.
Mhm.
But real estate will open your eyes sooner or faster than just about anything, how much is really out there. And you can truly make your career and your life whatever you want. And without real estate, and to say we're happy with where we're at or don't want to do more. But without real estate, there's a lot of things we wouldn't be able to do. So it's been great in that regard, and it really can open your eyes on what's possible for sure.
Yeah, I love seeing that from guys I work with or friends that have similar jobs where they just work on an hourly paying job, yearly salary, whatever. And I kind of tell them like, you have to do some discipline as far as saving up and stuff, but if you do it right, you can buy one property, and that one property can lead to
You just said it right there. If you're able and willing to save and put forth towards the first one, really can kind of snowball from there.
Yeah.
That's why it's so, obviously you want anything to cash flow, but that's why it's so important to buy it right. The more cash flows, the more successful it is, the quicker you can expedite that process too.
Yeah. So that's one thing too now. Like it used to be where it was like 3-4% interest rates, where if you put 20% down on an investment property that was long term, it would immediately cash flow.
Sure.
Couple $100 or $1,000, whatever. But now people see it out there and it's like your interest rate's gonna be 7.2, 7.3. You're putting 20% down. You're not cash flowing at all. Or barely paying the mortgage.
Right.
If you save up and put a little more down, you can't force that.
Yeah, that's probably the hardest thing for especially first-time investors to wrap their heads around. Like, wait a minute, I'm putting $40,000 down, and I'm going to make $200 a month. It is hard. It's like, what can I do with that money to maybe for some other sort of project? But obviously, those are the more long-term types of investments that, there's obviously properties are going to continue to appreciate with constant growth over so many years, and then maybe having an opportunity to refi at some point. You either pull cash out or just increase cash flow because rents are higher and now your mortgage payment's lower. But it's a long game for some properties, and just because you're not making $1,000 a month on a single family doesn't mean you're not buying it right. It's just it may take time with the prices and rates at a premium. So until that gap widens, it's hard to, but if you're buying something in pretty good shape and your mechanicals and roof and big ticket items are taken care of, cash flow is not as important. What's that opportunity cost if you sit and you wait? So sometimes it's better to have that long term in mind of, hey, we're probably gonna have an opportunity to refi, and then obviously 5 years of appreciation helps with that cost as well. So
Yeah.
lots of moving parts for sure.
Yeah. I think it's something that I guess a lot of people don't know. I didn't know it until I got into real
Yeah.
estate. Listen, you buy an investment property and then let it appreciate for years. Well, then you can take money out that's the equity inside the house to buy a second one.
True. And if that money's just sitting there otherwise doing nothing, obviously there's other ways in markets to put it into, but just the constant growth rate of real estate in general.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. We talk about a lot is if you have a 25-year career and you're putting into a 401k, you can build, a nice little nest egg retirement, but compared to just buying one property and letting that thing go for 25 years, I mean, it's unbelievable.
Sure.
The difference it can make.
And it's like you see, you have a good partner too. Just similar to the wives working with us, we have partners in our real estate investments, Ben or Brett. But to have, like I said, just from a financial aspect and fundraising, but just to have multiple hands on deck is super valuable too.
Yeah, it's hard to find a good business partner. Yeah. I will say that. That's
yeah.
I mean,
I say I found good ones.
I just found something.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm gonna ask you what I asked Nick. Nick was overthinking it. He said, but it was funny. If you had 2 years to make as much money as possible, and all you had was an iPhone and 10 grand, what would you do to make as much money as possible?
I think I would probably still say real estate, but right now, and I haven't do as I say, not as I do, but something on TikTok, whether it's just building a brand or a following that way and trying to sell products or whatever, but also live selling is what I'm intrigued by. Live selling is something I'm intrigued. Like I said, do as I say, not as I do.
What is that?
I think just what it's. I guess I should go speak to a little bit better if that's fine. No. You're right. But
camera's not recording.
Yeah, Gary Vee actually talks about it a lot. He says it's already $1 trillion industry in China. It's gonna continue to take off over here, but literally what it is or what it sounds like, people on live selling different various products, and this is just a huge market for it right now. I think obviously what we've seen. Just what the power of social media anyways. What is it? I'll butcher it. But the point is just on live and not being afraid to be on camera and do things in real time and show who you are. That has a lot of potential for monetization in several different ways.
Yeah.
So either that, real estate or some version of that.
That's interesting. I think it's important though, seriously, the social media stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
because we try to figure out ways to market and get out there. And I think people just need to know they refer you. You get referred based on people trusting their friend. They're like, oh yeah, I like them. They're a good person. Well, if you just put yourself out there, I feel like people will figure out they like you or not.
Yeah, it's funny. I tell my wife all the time. Every time we go travel somewhere, I'm like, oh, get on Instagram and see, where the best restaurants or bars or places are to go. But if we were to go on our social medias, would people have that same reaction about it? So that's
a good perspective.
That's the kind of way I try to think of it.
Yeah.
And obviously there's always more to do and there's things you could do better as far as social media goes or anything, but that's a good reminder.
That is. So, yeah, I've seen a thing on Gary Vee this morning. He was talking about how it's more important now to post raw, authentic, without doing the edits and all that stuff.
Yeah. I'll show you a good video later, but another guy higher up wellness, I believe it is the guy that I follow, but he said he had dinner with Gary Vee and sharing the same sentiment. He's like, don't try and come up with content, just video. Everything, every conversation you have now is an opportunity for media, basically, because people want to see the real.
Yeah.
Not the rehearsed, not the stage. That stuff matters too, especially when you're trying to market a new listing or whatever. But people want to see the real interactions and how you go. What is what does a day in the life look like of a real estate agent? Not just the rehearsed version, but like actually in the weeds, and this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
So
I think that's why those videos do so well.
Yeah.
I love
it's
watching.
relatable.
I
Yeah.
watch stuff on stuff that I'm not even.
I constantly find myself watching stuff, and I can't even explain why it intrigues me, but that's just it. So it's good.
Yeah, the raw day in the life stuff. That stuff is really, really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, brother, I appreciate you coming
Yeah,
on, man.
appreciate you.
Hopefully, get some more episodes.
Yeah,
maybe I'll have
I
some
love
more
that.
cameras and
I would love that.
we'll get it set up. So
I appreciate you.
yeah, thank you
so much.
guys. Thank you all for watching. I'm so sorry about the audio. It's super echoey. We'll get a new microphone and we'll be ready to rock and roll for episode 3. If you want to follow Geoff, he's on Facebook and Instagram, and his handles be right here. We'll see you on the next one.